My Switch is 8 years old. Let's soft mod it, so first we can get my new 256GB SD card.
Liam puts the SD card in the computer and turns the computer on.
Okay, Switch, hacks, guide. Okay, let's read. This guide will take a minimum of an hour to fully complete. Please responsibly set aside this time before your first run-through. Acknowledge that every time you modify your system, there is always the potential for an unrecoverable brick. A brick is a damaged device that no longer functions, something that becomes as useful as a brick. On the Switch, they're rare, but still a possibility. So make sure you read the directions carefully before performing them, and follow them exactly. This guide will work on first generation V1 and mod-chipped Switch consoles in all regions on any firmware version. You will need one of the following in order to successfully follow this guide: an Android device with micro SD card reader and a USB-C cable capable of data transfer to connect them together. Ugh, come on, why? First the Wii, and now the Switch doesn't need the SD card.
Liam throws the SD card in the trash.
Okay, let's read. In the RCM path, we'll first determine if your Switch is vulnerable to Fusee-gelee, the exploit we will be using to launch custom firmware. The Fusee-gelee vulnerability was discovered independently by different Switch hacking teams who all independently released versions of the exploit in April 2018. Nintendo and Nvidia were informed 90 days before these releases, and patched consoles were launched by mid-2018. Nvidia publicly acknowledged the flaw in April as well. In July 2019, Nintendo announced updated consoles, the Switch Lite, model HDH001, and a new model of original Switch, HAC001-01, also called V2, with better battery life. Both of these new models use the Tegra X1 Plus, also known as Marico, the T214, and T210B01, with a brand new boot ROM, and cannot currently be hacked without a mod chip. Patched and Marico units can be identified by their serial number. This number can be found in the Settings applet at System, then Serial Information. You can also find it on the bottom of the console, right next to the charging port. However, it is always more accurate to use the serial reported in Settings instead, especially if you aren't the original owner of the console. Okay, the potentially patched range is XAW 10074000000 to XAW 101200000. Oh, damn it! My serial number is there. Okay, but it's an original Switch. There's still a chance.
Meow meow.
Okay, my Switch version is 8.1.1, basically ancient, so I can use RCM. Before setting up for Homebrew, install at least one eShop title to utilize Title Takeover, which is an Atmosphère feature that lets Homebrew use more resources than they normally would. Try downloading a free game like Fallout Shelter, or maybe an application like YouTube, or even a game demo like 10-second run returns. Running the Homebrew menu using a game cartridge is another option, but you'd need to have the game inserted every time you want to launch the Homebrew menu. Generally, Title Takeover doesn't permanently change the donor game or app. Once you have any bootable title, you're good to go and ready to continue with the guide. Oh man, okay, I'm gonna use YouTube. I use YouTube on my TV anyway. Meow, meow. RCM, which stands for Recovery Mode, is a pre-boot mode for Tegra processors that allows Nvidia and Nintendo to send the Switch tiny programs for different internal uses. On unpatched consoles, once a payload was sent and quickly copied into the memory buffer behind the stack, it overflowed the memory buffer into the stack. This leads to a smashed stack and unsigned code execution within a boot ROM context, which gives us access to, like, pretty much everything on the console. We use it here to launch Atmosphère. The Switch's Tegra X1 processor has this recovery mode, called RCM for short, and it was really meant to be useless for regular users. But thanks to the Fusee-gelee vulnerability, This special mode actually works as our gateway into custom firmware. Methods to enter RCM can be as simple as using household items, though honestly that's not recommended, to cheap tools that cost around $5 or $10 on sites like AliExpress and Amazon. You should avoid the metal bridge or paperclip method since it can damage your console. You could also think about 3D printing the tools you need. Okay, I already have an RCM jig. Power off the switch and short the pins on the right Joy-Con rail using one of the methods listed below.
Liam puts the RCM jig on the right Joy-Con rail.
While holding the volume up button, press the power button once while still holding volume up.
Liam holds volume up and power.
Once your switch is in RCM, remove the RCM jig if you used one, and continue with the next page of the guide by clicking on the button at the bottom of this page. Okay, we are in RCM. Let's see what the next page says. Now that the device is in RCM, we will need to send it a payload. The methods are mostly the same, but they do differ a little depending on what hardware you have available. We need the latest release of Hekate. You'll have to enable unknown sources in your device settings to install this. A USB-C cable is required. If your device has a USB-C port, you can use a C-to-C cable. If your device only has a micro USB port, you'll need a USB OTG adapter and a USB A2C cable. And of course, the latest release of Hekate. The Hekate payload, that's Hekate version.bin, is actually inside the Hekate version zip. So copy the Hekate-aer.bin file from the Hekate.zip file to a location on your phone. Okay, I did that. Now, launch Hekate on your phone. Okay, next, navigate to Payloads and click the plus sign. Okay, now navigate to your Hekate-aer.bin file and tap it to add it to Hekate's menu. Optional, but it's recommended. Head to Hekate's settings in the top right and enable Hide Bundled. Now connect your switch in RCM to your phone using the USB cable.
Liam connects the switch to the phone.
Okay, select the Hekate CTCR X bin file in the dialog that pops up. If your payload was successfully injected, your switch should have yellow text that says, Update bootloader folder. This will be resolved soon. We will prepare the micro SD card for formatting and partitioning before going to the next page. Removing the micro SD card while in Hekate is safe, so turning off the console is not necessary, and keeping it on will save time that would be spent re-injecting the payload. Oh, we do need the SD card.
Liam gets the SD card.
Without turning your switch off, remove the micro SD card from the switch. Okay, let me do the...
Meow, meow, ow! Peppi, stop making me trip onto you. Meow, meow.
Liam removes the SD card.
Insert your micro SD card into your computer.
Liam puts the SD card in the computer.
Okay, let's copy the Nintendo folder to my spare backup USB and then, done, okay, extract the...
Meow, meow.
Peppi extracts the Hekate zip and moves the bootloader folder to the root of the SD card.
Wow, how did you do that? Anyway, let's put the SD card back into the switch.
Liam clicks a button and clicks Load GUI.
Wow, the Hekate menu. Peppi, thanks for helping me.
Meow, meow.
Okay, go to Tools, USB Tools, Partition Card. Let's put EMOM AMC at 29 gigabytes. Once done, go to Tools, USB Tools, SD Card, plug in your switch to the computer, navigate to the accessible drive. Copy the contents of the Atmosphère zip file to the root of your micro SD card. Copy the bootloader folder from the Hekate zip file to the root of your micro SD card. If you're asked to replace files or merge folders, do so. On Mac OS, you will need to merge folders, not replace them. Copy the bootloader folder from the bootlogo zip file to the root of your micro SD card. If you're asked to merge the bootloader folders, do so. Copy Hekate #IPL.ini to the bootloader folder on your micro SD card. If you're asked to replace the file, do so. Create a folder named Hosts inside the Atmosphère folder on your micro SD card and put emummc.txt inside of the Hosts folder. Copy jksv.nro to the switch folder on your microSD card. Copy ftpd.nro to the switch folder on your microSD card. Copy nxthemesinstaller.nro to the switch folder on your microSD card. Copy nxshell.nro to the switch folder on your microSD card. Copy goldleaf.nro to the switch folder on your microSD card. If you were already using your microSD card as a storage device for your games and backed up the Nintendo folder before partitioning your microSD card, please place it back on the root of your microSD card now. If you created an EMU MMC on the previous page, don't forget to copy the Nintendo folder to SD on EMU MMC RAW1. In addition to the Nintendo folder on the root of your microSD card. Okay, done. Next page. A NAND backup is crucial to have. It's a full backup of the internal storage of your Switch and can be used to restore the device to a working state in case of emergencies. Do not skip this step. Once the backup is finished, keep it somewhere safe. The best backup is the one you have but never need, and the worst backup is the one you need but never made. To save space, it's recommended to compress the end result with a zip file or something similar. It's highly recommended that you use a micro SD card that is formatted to FAT32 and has at least 32 gigabytes of space free. This will still work on smaller cards, but it's not ideal. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do it later. Next page. Okay, let's go back on Hekate. Go to Launch, Atmosphère PKG3 EMU MMC. Let's click Launch. Okay, System Settings, Version. Okay, I see AMS and E. That means it launched correctly. You will now be able to launch the Homebrew menu by opening the album or by holding the R button while launching any game, including demos or cartridges or application, like YouTube or Hulu. If R is not held, the game or application will launch like normal. Okay, let's see. 237.96 gigabytes, hell no. Let me delete these apps. Let me delete NX Themes Installer. Let's uninstall the other apps. Okay, 238 gigabytes left. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.